Whoa, what's up you fellas? Haz here. What are we talking about today? Of course bro, we're gonna do another RPG review. This time, we're gonna talk about a game that's pretty niche-y, eh?
That's niche. It means small and specialized.
But niche sounds way cooler, man. Niche sounds a little bit like a monster in an RPG that nobody wants to fight because his name is dumb, bro. Bro, it's like Gog Magog from Final Fantasy 13 2, bro. I bet you named that monster, eh?
No.
Bro, that sounds exactly like a word you would say, man.
No.
Oh, whatever, bro. Then you would tell me that Gog Magog means peanut butter or something like that, man. That's what you always do. Anyway, you fellas, no one's even heard of this game, eh, bro? So I'm here to help spread the word, man. It's this game called Elder Scrolls V Skyrim.
It's 5, not V. Those are Roman numerals.
Bro, what do cool shoes have to do with this?
Roman numerals, not Roman sandals.
I know you like inventing words, bro, but numbers? Come on, man. Psh, whatever, bro. So this game, Skyrim, bro, I bet you fellas like, oh, how come I've never heard of that game, man? That's because I'm pretty sure this fella's Seesaw had a bigger budget than the whole marketing for Skyrim, eh? Skyrim was developed by this company called Bethesda and released back in 2011 for the PS3, Xbox 360 and the PC. But Old Haz is going to be reviewing the special edition that was released in 2016 for PS4 and Xbox One, man. There was also a VR version of this game released, eh? And now it's also on the Nintendo Switch. Bro, I'm pretty sure I heard there's going to be a version released for my smartphone too, eh? And my smartwatch. Probably a version for the Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, Atari Jaguar and Game Boy Advance. Bro, I think I've even seen a refrigerator that's got Skyrim installed on it, eh? So you can slay some giants while grabbing some ice next time you get up for a drink break, man. Bro, only 100% truths on the Old Man Has Games YouTube channel, man. So why don't you go and click on that like and subscribe button, eh? And ding-a-ling that bell. Hurry up, man. Oh, as always, I think it's pretty critical to point out that I got the Platinum Trophy for Skyrim, eh? Just to further solidify that Old Haz is the Grandmaster plus Ultra Champion for all eternity of all RPG games ever, bro. So how about we start with the graphics, eh? You fellas know what? For a game that is grounded in fantasy themes, but visually chasing down the holy grail of realism, I think Skyrim does a pretty good job all round. It may feel a little dated now, eh, because it's pushing 7 years old, man. But once combined with all of the other positive elements about this game, any graphical shortcomings pretty much fades away. Without any other graphical mods, this game has impressive draw distances, lighting, fog, clouds, and weather effects to really help players feel that they are located in a very realistic fantasy world. It's a pretty big slab of land that you are able to traverse, and the terrain varies from ice and snow to warm autumn forests with green grasses and blue clear water streams. Bro, something worthy of note here is that when I was walking around in the far north and in those cold, windy places, man, I started feeling a little bit depressed, eh? So I had to find a cave to try and hop in and get warm, bro. The inhabitants, wildlife and monsters all look pretty cool, eh? But I noticed that some creatures look like they were made by someone else completely. Maybe even for a totally different game altogether. The quality jump between them was just massive, eh? The aesthetics of the races in Skyrim all looks pretty cool, eh? Pretty unique too, man. There's an oddness about the faces, bodies and hands. But it just works, bro. That oddness actually makes it look better in this case. There are no perfect looking people to be found in Skyrim, eh? Everyone, including the more animalistic races of the Khajiit and the Argonian, have a very believable humanoid quality to them, which I think is exactly what Bethesda was going for, eh? I think the coolest thing about this game artistically is collecting pieces of armor and new weapons, eh? And learning new spells if you're a mage. Bro, there is tons and tons of things to acquire and test out, and they all make a large impact on your character visually, and that's just what this game's all about for Old Haz, eh? So what about the gameplay for Skyrim? I need to tell you fellas a story about Old Haz and Skyrim, eh? I purchased this game way back in 2011 when it first came out, man. I installed it and I played it probably 5 or 6 times in those last 7 years, eh? But every single time I started the game, I headed straight off into the wilderness to explore in those ruins and caves, man. I kept doing that until I got sick of it, eh? Then I just stopped playing altogether until I got the urge to restart, sometimes years later, man. Have any of you fellas done that? Bro, just hit it off and ignored all the story and just spend hours and hours walking around until you just get sick of it and then you just stop, bro. So anyway, gameplay for Skyrim is really simple, eh? It's like this, man. It's a large open world game and it's got several cities filled with inhabitants that are going about their business every day. There are hundreds of ruins, caves and enemy encampments to explore in any order you please. Most of those inhabitants have quests or are caught up in little micro stories which you can choose to be a part of or not. There is a main storyline, but you are in no way forced to play through that. You can in fact spend hundreds of hours in this game and become extremely high level and powerful without ever touching a single main storyline quest. Imagine you are running through a forest on your way to report in after successfully completing your current quest. And then you come to this old worn road, man. You see someone walking up towards you, you decide to talk with them, and then they tell you about some strange sounds coming from a cave nearby. You go to investigate that, seeing as how it's on the way back to your original quest, and sure enough, bro, you're on a whole new adventure that could take another 5 hours, man. Oh man, that's Skyrim, bro. As soon as you finish 5 quests and you go and hand those ones in, it gives you 10 more, bro. That really is the bulk of Skyrim's gameplay, man. It's just like that. And you can get totally lost and spend hundreds of hours just doing that by itself, man. Leveling up in Skyrim and making your character more powerful in this game is handled basically by the use of skills. There are 18 skills in total and they are split up between combat, magic and stealth skills. Using those skills increases your proficiency with that skill, and once a certain level of proficiency is reached, the player will level up. At that time you will grab perk points, which allows you to unlock bonuses such as the higher damage output for a combat skill or increase the chance of success when you're picking a lock. Old Haz recommends that you set out with a specific character build in mind and focus on maxing out those skills, eh? Are you a old gnarly wizard who dual wields some daggers? Maybe you are the young, loud and boisterous two-handed hammer wielding orc? Or are you the shady hunter that strikes from the shadows from a distance with a bow, man? Traveling around this massive open world can be done in various ways. You can go on foot, ride a horse, and even tame and ride on dragons much later in the game. You can also fast travel, which to be honest, Old Haz ended up doing a lot, eh? I tried to play through one time without using fast travel, and while I did find myself much more immersed in the world, I don't think I would be here making this review if I continued that way, eh? Because I wouldn't even be finished yet, man. At all times, when traveling, you will never be far away from something going on, eh? Enemies to hunt, a village to explore, a cave, a ruin, a hideout. There is literally no place on this whole map, man, where you'll feel bored and alone searching for something to do. I also want to point out just how much of a criminal you can be in Skyrim, eh? Hey. Seriously, if you just like the way that those shoes look on that guard and you decide you want them, just take him out, bro, and steal his shoes. In fact, one of the factions in this game will have you more or less hunting and wasting dudes left, right and center, man. Many of which will challenge what your personal feelings are on right and wrong. At a certain point in the game, you will also learn shouts, which are like augments to your arsenal of weapons and spells. Those shouts are on cooldown, eh, so you can't spam them, but you can do all kinds of things with them, eh? Like set enemies on fire, make you run extremely fast for a short period of time, or even send enemies flying backwards away from you, man. It's quite hard case. You can also have a companion to invite along with you on your adventures. You can adopt children, and you can even court a partner to eventually marry. With the expansions that come with the special edition, you can also purchase land and build a house on it. Bro, this is rad, eh? I think I spent about 20 hours alone just in building my house and decking it out the way that I wanted. All in all, gameplay feels so open and free in Skyrim, man. It feels so unlike most RPGs out there, in that you are simply just dropped into this world to explore at your own pace. Be who you want to be,
and just exist. It really does feel like that. You can very easily spend night after night in this game doing nothing but catching fish, building your house, forging weapons, searching ruins, and tracking down evil artifacts. So what about the sound in Skyrim? Bro, no words beyond awesome, man. The soundtrack to this game is outstanding. Jeremy Soule handled this, and right from the epic theme and ambient music that plays while you are exploring, it's just phenomenal, man. It's extremely immersive. It's almost as if the music was born from a different time, a different world. It sounds cheesy as, but it's true, man. Just let it wash over you.
When you listen to that main theme song, you won't convince me that you don't want to set sail, grow a beard and chop some wood, man.
Voice acting in Skyrim is pretty good too, And even though you end up hearing the same few voices all across Skyrim, it's somehow not bothersome at all. In fact, the warm wisecracks of those friendly guards once you reach the safe confines of a city can be quite welcoming after spending hours deep underground in a ruin, I also enjoyed a lot of the environmental sounds in Skyrim, Water drips, running water, rushing winds, birds chirping. There is so much there to appreciate, and I think it definitely shows if you've got a good sound system or decent headphones to listen with. Now, you can't possibly reach ultimate meme status unless things are either utterly terrible or utterly amazing. And I for one believe the sound in Skyrim falls on the amazing side.
Oh man, when I originally heard that some fella got shot in the knee with a bow and arrow, I was like, wow, that must have hurt,
Turns out though, I reckon that there's a sniper out there that decided to travel all around the world, purely to just snipe guard in the knees, man, because I kept hearing that story everywhere I went in Skyrim. Why, you took an arrow to the knee, bro. And you too, man. Fah. How many of you fellas got shot in the knee with arrows, man?
Oh, I wish I could meet that sniper, What a hard case, dude, man. Traveling across the land and shooting at guards' knees, bro.
How about that story in Skyrim? What's that like? This is handled really well, I think, for an open world RPG, Basically, your Skyrim story can be written by you. As mentioned earlier, there is a main storyline to play through, but there is so much other content that your story can really consist of so many other things. There are some factions in the game that have in-depth questlines, such as the Dark Brotherhood, the Companions, the Thieves Guild, College of Winterhold, the Imperial Army or the Stormcloaks, the Bard's College in Solitude, and the Dawnguard and Vampire clans. There is also literally hundreds of side quests that you can pick up just by exploring and talking to the inhabitants of a town or village. The main storyline will take you all over the world of Skyrim and lead you through quite an awesome and inspiring tale of becoming what's called a Dovahkiin, the Dragonborn. At the start of the game, you are sentenced to die, but before the axe comes down, a giant dragon named Alduin lands above you and stops that from happening. Then he destroys the town. You escape during the madness, and from that point you are basically left to your own devices. You can proceed straight to the town of Whiterun and pursue the main storyline, which basically has you dealing with the fact that a dragon has returned to Skyrim. Not to mention that this has all happened right in the middle of a war between the Imperials and the Stormcloaks. I won't spoil the details of the main storyline, but let's just say that it's written and shown well enough that by the end, you will really feel like you are the hero of Skyrim, regardless of the decisions you made and the treatments of its citizens.
Bro, there's some really nice callbacks, to Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion and Elder Scrolls III Morrowind, man.
If I had to point out some issues with this game, I would say that once the dragons are unleashed across Skyrim, dealing with their loot and its weight creates this constant need to fast travel back to a place to dump it all, Dragon bones are heavy, bro, and you can only hold the spoils from 1 or 2 before you are maxed out all the time, Also, I wish for the AI for taking a companion with you was a little more improved. Aside from the AI providing some of the funniest moments in the entire game, I would often lose them behind a corner somewhere way back in the dungeon before I realized they were even gone, man. I also think that there's a totally overwhelming number of quests. I think I would like better tools to help manage those. I don't really know what those would be, but some kind of journal management structure so that I can label them and sort them into groups myself. Lastly, having more quests that have visual impacts on the cities and its inhabitants would have been so awesome, man. A lot of work for quests and level designers at Bethesda, but I'm certain they are working on this exact thing for Elder Scrolls VI, which is finally announced at E3 this year, man. All in all, this tiny game that no one has ever heard of before is a modern masterpiece. It reflects where the RPG genre has gone in the West in every way, and you should definitely play it if you like gritty, realistic fantasy looking epic tales, eh? Also, who doesn't want to experience being smashed into another galaxy by a giant, man?
I give this game a total score of 8.5 niches out of 10. Did you fellas hit that like and subscribe button? Whoa, bro, we're nearly at 500 subscribers, man. Help old Has get there, eh? And I have a little surprise for you fellas. See you fellas on the next one.